What if I told you the largest army ever assembled to invade Europe never actually existed? Not one soldier, not one tank, not one ship. And yet this invisible force changed the direction of World War II. The Nazis monitored it, feared it, planned for it, and ultimately made decisions that helped the Allies free a continent because of it. Today, historians know it by a fitting name, the Ghost Army. And its greatest performance was Operation Fortitude, a deception so vast, so brilliant, and so secret that for decades after the war, most of the men behind it weren't even allowed to tell their families what they did. This story begins in late 1943. The Allies were preparing for the most ambitious military operation in history, a return to mainland Europe, the long-awaited opening of a second front against Nazi Germany. Everyone understood the stakes. If the landing failed, there may not be another chance for years. If it succeeded, it could be the beginning of the end for Hitler. But there was one monumental challenge. Hitler expected an invasion, and he knew that Britain was the launch pad. The only question was, where would the Allies strike? There were dozens of possible landing zones, but two mattered most: Normandy and Pas-de-Calais. Normandy offered wide beaches and the element of surprise, but Calais was the shortest distance across the channel, the most obvious landing site, and the one Hitler expected. If he concentrated his best panzer divisions at the correct location, the Allies would suffer catastrophic losses before they even reached the sand. A handful of German armored units could tear apart an invasion force in minutes. The Allies realized something chilling. Even if they planned the perfect invasion, even if the soldiers were brave and the strategy flawless, it might still fail unless the Germans could be convinced to guard the wrong place. So a small group of commanders, engineers, artists, magicians, radio experts, and spies crafted an insane plan. They wouldn't just hide the real invasion spot. They would create an entire fake invasion force to distract Hitler. A whole army group, hundreds of thousands strong. But who would command this fictional army? The answer was obvious. The one American general the Germans considered unstoppable, George S. Patton. The Germans believed Patton was the Allies' fiercest warrior, the man who would lead the main blow against Nazi Europe. And so, according to the deception, Patton would lead the 1st United States Army Group, FUSAG, an enormous force stationed in southeast England, preparing to invade Pas-de-Calais. The problem was simple. FUSAG didn't exist. But the solution was anything but simple. The Allies didn't want Germany to think it existed. They wanted Germany to be absolutely certain. So they began creating it, piece by piece. Open fields across the English countryside transformed almost overnight. Soldiers set up massive inflatable tanks, realistic ones, so detailed that from the sky they looked exactly like Sherman and Churchill tanks preparing for battle. Airfields filled with wooden aircraft. Entire tent cities were erected. Thousands of empty tents, arranged perfectly to mimic the housing patterns of active divisions. This wasn't just for decoration. British aerial reconnaissance knew the Germans were constantly sending spy planes over the region, snapping photos and feeding intelligence back to Berlin. So the Allies made sure every single photograph told the same story, a huge army growing larger by the week. But visual deception was just the beginning. A real army breathes through its radios. Thousands of messages fly across the airwaves every hour. Supply requests, weather updates, patrol orders, command discussions. Military units have distinct communication styles, unique call signs, and predictable routines. So the Allies created entire radio networks, fake regiments with fake schedules and fake officers sending fake transmissions. Radio operators became actors in a play. They rehearsed, improvised, argued, and joked, making sure every signal felt authentic. And then there were the sound specialists. At night, they broadcast the noises of truck engines, tank maintenance, and soldiers shouting commands. They recorded the sounds of real divisions, then played them through enormous speakers pointed toward areas where German scouts might be listening. Some teams even built heating systems under empty tents to fool German infrared reconnaissance, making it look like thousands of men slept there. But none of this would have worked without the spies, the double agents who delivered the final, essential piece of the illusion. At the center of this web of lies stood one man, Juan Pujol Garcia, codenamed GARBO. A former chicken farmer from Spain, Garcia had somehow convinced German intelligence he was one of their most valuable assets. In reality, he worked for the Allies. He didn't have just one fake identity. He created nearly 30 imaginary sub-agents, each with their own backgrounds, personalities, and writing styles. He wrote entire reports from these fictional agents, describing troop movements, equipment deliveries, and military conversations that never happened. His reports were so detailed, so precise, so believable, that the Germans praised him repeatedly, paying him large sums of money and trusting him with secret wartime priorities. They believed everything he said. And what he said, relentlessly, consistently, was that the real invasion force was gathering at Calais under Patton. By spring 1944, Hitler was convinced. He personally ordered his generals to reinforce Calais and hold it at all costs. He moved additional divisions there, armored units, infantry battalions, elite formations, leaving Normandy with far fewer defenders than it needed. Then came June 6, 1944, D-Day, the largest amphibious invasion in history. Thousands of Allied ships crossed the channel under fire. Soldiers stormed the beaches. Paratroopers dropped behind enemy lines. The fighting was brutal, chaotic, and terrifying. And yet, the decisive factor occurred far from the beaches. Hitler refused to move his Calais units. Even as German officers pleaded for reinforcements, even as they reported that Normandy was the real invasion, even as chaos spread across the Western Front, Hitler believed the main attack was still coming. He was waiting for Patton's Phantom Army, the ghost army that appeared so real, so convincing, that it paralyzed his decision-making. For days, the Germans held back. Then weeks. The Allies fought tooth and nail across Normandy, pushing inland, linking beachheads, turning the tide. And still those elite German divisions, the ones trained to stop an invasion, remained in Calais, useless, waiting for a threat that existed only in photographs, radio chatter, and the minds of Allied deceivers. The Ghost Army wasn't done yet. They continued broadcasting, moving fake equipment, simulating new units arriving, and maintaining the illusion of a second invasion. German radar picked up what looked like a massive formation of ships heading toward Calais. But it was false. Clever manipulation of radar reflections and deliberate signal interference. Once again, Hitler believed it. Operation Fortitude successfully froze the strongest German units in place for nearly 2 months. 2 months that allowed the Allies to break out of Normandy, liberate France, and drive toward Germany. Many historians believe that without this deception, D-Day might have failed entirely, or cost far more lives. The strangest part? When the war ended, almost none of the men who inflated those rubber tanks or operated those fake radios received any recognition. Their mission was classified. Their work was invisible by design. For years, they couldn't even tell their families the truth. They fought a different kind of war. One built on imagination, illusion, and a deep understanding of human psychology. They didn't win with firepower. They won with the audacity to trick an entire military machine into seeing ghosts. So the next time you think of the bravery shown on the beaches of Normandy, remember the silent army behind the scenes. The army that never existed, yet saved countless lives. An army of artists, engineers, performers, and brilliant deceivers who helped end one of the darkest chapters in human history. Thanks for watching, and thank you for supporting the channel. Your time, your interest, and your passion for these forgotten stories are what keep this history alive. More incredible tales from the shadows of the past are on the way. Stay tuned.